my topic would be that, do you think it's okay for Muslims to insult Christianity in the park?
I think that's kind of what we were talking about already.
No, but they were talking about the Christians, insulting the...
No, but it was both ways, and then I was giving kind of hopefully a neutral perspective on it. So it wasn't a conversation necessarily about provocation by Christians or by Muslims. I think it was a more general conversation about decorum, about perhaps the limitations on freedom of speech, reasonable responses to offence. So, yes.
I see. Okay.
I can understand why a gentleman like yourself would like to talk more
I've
about
had a debate with my friend here previously. Did we not have one debate previously? Yeah? Last couple of
I think it's worthwhile because in the park there are people who say things which are more close to the edge, and I don't think you make any excuses about that. You're one of those people who is prepared to say things that perhaps other people might not say. So I think it's a worthwhile perspective to take. When you engage with someone, and maybe when you say some of the more provocative things, what's your intention?
It's in response. When I say provocative things, it's mostly in response to them saying provocative things.
Okay.
Which is one of the most provocative things, that the Muslims put a sign up there and say Jesus was a Muslim. It's very provocative, because to a Christian that would be like saying Muhammad was a Christian.
Right.
You know? And the Muslims would be like, or I said Muhammad believed in the Trinity. That's why he used the word ahad, because it means one of. You see what I'm saying? Like, that could be, what do you think of if the Christians would put up a sign saying Muhammad was a Christian? He was a Trinitarian Christian.
Do you agree?
Would that be okay with you?
Abdullah, do you agree? Okay, so we know already that one of the most provocative things a Muslim can hear is an insult against their prophet. Would you agree with that?
Not really. I think one of the most provocative things for Muslims really would be an insult to any one of the prophets.
Right.
Because there was a time where there was a movie being made about Jesus.
Right.
And the depiction of Jesus was taken very serious by the Muslim community.
Right.
And there were global marches and demonstrations. So any of the prophets is being depicted in any kind of way that is belittling or insulting or rude or whatever, Muslims will take issues to that.
All right.
Now, for example, if someone takes a Bible and do something with the Bible in Speaker's Corner that is, in my view, wrong or disrespectful, 100% I'll challenge it.
And how would an insult against God Himself be taken versus an insult against the Prophet? It's a more egregious act.
I think both has huge amount of weight of offense. But I even think the global powers in some law, many countries of law, you should not intend, there should be no intent to willfully provoke violence by going out of your way to be vile against somebody's religion. Really.
But why don't you say Abraham was why don't you put a sign over there saying Moses was a Muslim? Why do you target Jesus as a Muslim? The sign out there doesn't say Moses was a Muslim. It specifically says Jesus was a Muslim. Why is that? Was Moses not a Muslim?
I think more important than that is, sorry, I don't mean to cut off. I just want to try to give you a question that I think you will answer. To insult a Muslim by insulting God, or to provoke a Muslim by insulting God, I imagine would be taken in the same way by a Christian if one was to say Jesus is not God, because they take Jesus as God.
That's not a view. That's a flawed view.
So why is that a flawed view?
I'll tell you why it's a flawed view. First of all, a Christian who says that he takes offense by a Muslim who says Jesus is not God He is just trying to react in a way how we react. I'll tell you why. Because
we're going to ask a Christian in a minute.
Because he's not a Christian. But anyway, because I'll tell you why. Number one.
Do you think that's not provocative to say in my face I'm not a Christian?
I can explain myself. But anyway, I'll tell you why. Number one, in Christianity, there are Unitarian Christians. And in Christianity, there are Trinitarian Christians. The Trinitarian Christians and the Unitarian Christians, the Trinitarians do not believe Jesus is God. The Unitarians do not believe Jesus is God. And the Trinitarian Christians will take no offense against those who say Jesus is not God.
Do you think that we consider them Christians?
Can I finish, please? Can I finish, please? So those Trinitarian Christians who say Jesus is not God, they do not say Jesus is not God with the intent to be vile, with the intent to be rude. So the false notion as though all Christians, through all period of time, all believe Jesus is God, it's a flawed view.
What I mean is,
you understand what I'm trying to say?
I have to be more specific then. Would a Muslim saying to a Trinitarian Christian that Jesus is not God be tantamount to a Christian saying Allah is not God? Is it not the same?
It's not
the
the
same. Parallel?
It's not the same.
Okay, let's get.
And I'll tell you.
Let's get Sam's view.
So there's a couple of things because the point that he brought up that not all Christians are Trinitarians. If you ask a Christian that question, they would say anybody who's not a Trinitarian is not a Christian.
Right.
That's the correct answer. So for him to take his definition of Christian, which he includes the Unitarian in it. Now there are many degrees of Unitarian. Some of them are oneness. Some of them have the different view of the Trinity and this and that. Those are all the things that I discussed. I had many discussions with Unitarians. Do you think that any Christian, if you want to define Christian, is a Trinitarian? As a Christian, I'm talking about Trinity. That is the Bible. That's what Trinitarian. That's what Christianity is. Now, that is what the 99% of the Christians out in this world, the Roman Catholic Church believes in Trinity. All of them, which is the major Christian denomination that has Unitarian view? Okay, yes, there is one that's Jehovah's Witnesses. Do the Christians call Jehovah's Witnesses Christians? It's like Ahmadiyas. It's like the Muslims calling Ahmadiyas non-Muslims. We call Jehovah's Witnesses non-Christians.
So you answer the question. You see how Muslims are offended by insults against their prophets or against...
Oh, this is what you were looking for before.
Okay. So you want to read it?
No, you can.
So this is about response to insult found in the Bible. In 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 9, do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called so that you may inherit a blessing.
I'm only saying that to say to you that my friend across there who was here, this is what he should be teaching. And because he have not taught that, and the others have not taught that, you and I don't, this is almost new. Almost new to you.
When you said there was an allusion to it in the conversation, like he said.
That's the point I was making. But what I'm trying to say to him is that whenever there's an opportunity of incitement and hatred, instead of raising the flag, freedom of speech,
that should be the response.
Right. And I'm saying because this is so unpopular, even you who's
not convenient for those who want an adversarial confrontation in the park. But now I want a hadith.
All right, but
so that I know the Islamic approach as well.
All right. So can I address this point? So you're saying that the Christianity teaches that we should be tolerant, and do not repay them with what they are doing to you. So don't do what they are doing to you, right? But there is other. So that is one verse, and it has its own, implications. That is true. We are not supposed to be doing insults to others. But does it not say also that we take this message and bring light to where there's darkness? So if you're bringing something out to the world and you're misrepresenting something, like saying Like when I come, and people take an offense when I say that the Quran insults the Bible. It's not the Muslims insult the Bible. The Quran insults Christianity by saying that Quran says that Jesus is a liar because Jesus is saying I'm God. Jesus is saying that I rose from the dead. I was dead and now I'm alive. And if the Quran is saying that, it's not the Muslims that I'm attacking, it's the Quran, it's their belief that I'm attacking, because it's coming against my belief, it's against Christianity. And I'm not insulting it. Why? Insulting it would be to say something bad about it, but if I'm just exposing it, insult and expose, it has to be a distinction made between those. But if I'm exposing something that they're hiding from people when they're not telling you that, but when Quran does that, it actually contradicts itself. I've made so many points about the Quran where Allah is saying that I will mutawafika, meaning that I'll put you to sleep and raise you to me. But in the English translation, it's missing that. It's saying I'll raise you to me. So if I say that, Muslims get offended. Or if I say, your Quran is saying this and this and that, I'm exposing it. And then the Bible does say expose the lies. There are verses that talk about exposing.
But let me get back to the facts, because this is not about theology.
No,
this is
I'm
not about theology.
I'm just saying.
Excuse me. This is not about theology. And if you notice, I'm addressing you to avoid any more direct confrontation.
I think you're both addressing me.
Right, both. That's fine. But what I'm trying to say, this is not about a theology debate, or you come prepared to have a dig at the Quran. This is not the platform for it. But what I'm trying to say fundamentally towards this conversation, there is scenarios where there is a clear insult intended, and there is scenarios where insult is taken or flagged or falsely claimed. You falsely claim an insult in order to make a point. So the question is, I know for a fact that Islam has no intention of insulting anyone. But Islam holds some very strong views with regards to what is idolatry and the authority of God. So if Islam talks about the authority of God and it speaks against idolatry, then someone will come and say, well, it's a false flag.
We're moving towards theology.
Let's yes. Anyway, Cyrus, I think I had enough.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
And thank you again.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Abdul.
Thank you so much, Sam.